my name is Melissa van Dijk and I'm a makeup artist, and in this video I'm going to show you two beautiful creative eye makeup looks, and I'm going to use the Zoeva Naturally Yours eyeshadow palette to create them. And you might think, well, even though those are very natural and earth tones colors, like how can you create a creative eye makeup look with it? Well, I have some ideas, and I personally just define a creative eye makeup look that you can't really wear as an everyday eye makeup look as well as for an evening makeup look. So if something that's a little bit more out of the box, and this is also what I'm going to show you. Starting off with the first eye makeup look, where we are going to start with a flat eyeshadow brush as well as digging into the shade Slow Dance, which is the dark brown shadow, and it's a matte shadow, and we're going to focus it on the main lid area from the lash line towards the crease. And so once you have applied it on the main lid area and you're happy on how you place the shadow, then we now can move on to step number 2, which is blending out the edges using a crease brush as well as the lighter matte brown shadow, the soft and sexy shadow. And this one is one that I'm going to use to blend the shadow a bit further up so that it's noticeable once I'm opening my eyes, as well as having softer edges, and it fades from a darker color into a lighter color, so similar to a smoky eye. And so once you faded the edges away, you're happy with the result on how you blended the shadow, we now can move on to step number 3, which is applying a shadow on the lower lash line. And I'm going to dig into a shimmery shadow, which also is called Sweet Sound, and it's a dark brown shimmery shadow. I'm also going to use a petite rounded brush to really get it on the lower lash line. And also to intensify the color and the shimmer, I'm going to dig into a bit of water so that I'm making sure that the brush is a little bit wet and we can just make the color pop even more. And so once the shimmery shadow is placed on the lower lash line, we now can move on to a bit more of something special, and I would like to call them kind of special effects, because I'm going to dig into Casual Elegance, which is a very nice and shimmery shadow, and I'm going to use a flat eyeshadow brush for it, but this one is also a little bit more pointed. And at first I'm going to create a line from the inner part under the brow bone towards the brow area, so that we have something unusual going on. And if you like to, you can also dig into some water if you want to make the color a bit stronger, but I'm going to start off with a dry brush, and if needed I'm going to dig into some water. And so once you placed it under the brow bone and you're happy on how you shaped it, keep in mind that if you're using a different brush for this part right here, then you will also achieve a different shape. And I've used a pointed still flat brush to create more of a rounded shape right here. But if you want to keep doing or create a square shape or a little bit more like strokes, then you can also use different brushes for it. And now for the next step, I'm going to use the same shadow, but we're going to place it towards the outer corner so that it looks like a winged liner. And you either can use the same brush or you can use a thicker liner brush so that we're kind of creating more like a line right here. But we are not going to sharpen it too much. It's more like how I would explain it, like that it looks like an accident that you just put a line on there so that it gives you that creative vibe. And so I'm going to dig into the same shadow and placing it towards the outer corner. And if you want to shape that line just a tiny bit, you always can take a clean brush. I have a flat brush right here so that I really have the control of how I wanted to like make sure that my line is going to end. And it can end with the tip, but it doesn't have to. And I'm going to use now a bit of water. And so once you're happy on how you created those two lines, then this is already the final look. And of course you can add mascara to your lashes, and if you like to, you can also go with very creative false eyelashes if you like to, but of course this is optional. Now for the second creative eye makeup look, we are going to stick with the smoky effect. The only difference is I'm going to use different shadows. And I'm going to move on towards the very dark side and digging into the black shadow, as well as using a flat eyeshadow brush to pat it onto the main lid area until I'm reaching the crease. So similar steps that we did earlier for the first creative eye makeup look. So once you have applied the black shadow on the main lid area, one tip that I can share with you to have less fallout, especially when it comes to black shadow, is that you're going to press the main shadow at first onto your eyelid area before blending it so that it can stick to your eyelid area. Of course, if you're going to use it on the main lid area. Because if you're going to swipe the brush directly when the product is still on the brush and it's so loaded, then so much of the product can fall off the brush and you're creating fallout. And you either can, like if this happens, or if you're using a shadow like this on the crease, or you want to blend it out directly, then you can also do your eyes first and then the rest of your makeup, or use also a tissue underneath if this is going to happen. Now I'm going to blend the edges as we've done for the first look, and I'm just going to dig into a lighter shadow. I'm going to add the shadow pure through the crease as well as above the crease to create that smoky effect, and I'm also going to use a crease brush for it, and if needed, I'm not sure yet, I'm also going to use a blending brush. And so once you're happy on how you apply the darker shadow from the main lid area towards the crease and above, I mean, if you're going to create a smoky eye, you always have to play around with the shadows that you want to use to create the smoky effect. So if you're digging into a lighter shadow, you always can go back into the shadow that you used on your main lid area or your crease area, just to make sure that you have a smoother transition from those 2 or 3 shadows, depending on how many you're using. And now I'm going to use the same dark shadow on the lower lash line and connecting it, like especially around the eyes, like basically from the inner corner towards the outer corner, so that we really are getting this dark effect. Now I'm going to use the same crease brush which I used earlier to blend the shadow. I'm also going to soften the edges on the lower lash line. And so once you're also blending the lower lash line shadow a little bit further out, as well as that it looks a little bit more like an unusual smoky eye, where you believe like, no, those are not the points that I really wanted to, but for the creative eye makeup look, this is perfect, as it is unusual. And now we can also move on to adding some black liner on the lower lash line, and if you also can, then also the upper part, so that we really can darken the midsection of the eye. And so once you darken the whole area, we now can dig into the next step, which is also adding a bit of shimmer. And so for the shimmer, I was thinking of like either going into Smooth Harmony or Casual Elegance. And I just decided to go into both. I'm going to start off with Smooth Harmony on the main lid area, and I'm also going to blend it like upwards towards the brow area. You can also use a brush for it if you like to. And so now for the next step, we are going to repeat the same on the lower lash line. So we are going to take the midsection of the lower lash line and using the same 2 shadows, and we are going to blend it a little bit more towards the cheek area, not too low, but so that it's visible. And so once you're happy on how you applied the shimmery shadows on the upper area as well as lower area, it kind of should balance the mid area, but on how you're going to apply it, the messier it looks, the better, because then it looks a little bit more how can I say, like, it isn't a typical like halo eye or smoky eye, but it's a little bit more unusual, and this makes the look a little bit more special. And this is also something that you wouldn't wear if you're having a beautiful evening out or so. This is more like a festive, creative eye makeup look where you also can take pictures from it because it is so unusual. And this is already the finished look. The only thing that's missing is mascara. As I said earlier, you can also add false lashes to it. This is totally up to you. And with that being said, this is already the 2 creative eye makeup looks which I wanted to share with you guys, and I also do hope that you enjoyed the video as well as the tutorials on how you can use the Naturally Yours palette for creative eye makeup looks. And if you did so and if you liked the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it, as this is an independent channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!